This week on Hear These Words, we get the Song of Solomon with beautiful poetic language about how God meets us in all things. And we also move over to the book of James, where he reminds us to be doers of the word and not just hearers, even though Martin Luther might not like it so much. And we also get a move over to the Gospel of Mark, with Jesus reminding us that we should focus on what is within us when it comes to our life of faith, not just all the rules on the outside of life. I'm joined by my special guest in a special location, all on Hear These Words. Hello and welcome to Hear These Words, a podcast and video series from Good Shepherd Episcopal Church in Tequesta, Florida. I'm Sanford Groff, I'm the rector here, and I'm joined today by my father, Sandy Groff.
Well, hello.
And every week on the podcast, we get ready for the Sunday readings by talking about them. This Sunday coming up is the 15th Sunday after Pentecost, which is proper 17b, and the words we hear are Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verses 8 through 13, Psalm 45, verses 1 through 2 and verses 7 through 10, James chapter 1, verses 17 through 27, and Mark chapter 7, verses 1 through 8, 14 and 15, 21 and 23. As you can see, we are not in the church. We are live. It's not live, but we are recording this on location from the Groff family vacation in Deep Creek, Maryland.
Yes.
We're in Deep Creek.
We're in Deep Creek.
We're on the lake. This is the lake.
Mountains. There are mountains and lakes, and we're up between 2,000 and 3,000 feet elevation, so it's not as hot here in Western Maryland.
And I'm joined by my own namesake, Sanford Harover Groff, the
Yes,
original.
The original.
And I'm the junior. And here you are.
Well, I'm
Thank
so
you for
happy.
joining me.
Well, this will be probably my one and only time, but thank you all for putting up with my son. I'm just so grateful for that. All of you. Thank you.
Yes. So we look forward to having you down to Florida again, probably in end of September, early October, but we'll figure out all that later. But on today, we wanted to talk a little bit about the readings. You, my uncle, you and Uncle Fred actually do this already. You've been doing this for many years.
Many years. Early Sunday morning, my older brother, a year older, who is in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and I'm his younger brother, and he and I talk together about these every morning, and we really love doing this. So Thank you for being invited today.
No, thank you for being our trailblazer in looking at the Sunday readings and doing it with Uncle Fred. I'm sorry, I don't think I wake up early enough for those early morning chit chats about the lectionary. They're more, Uncle Fred's an early bird, as are you.
Yes.
So those are happening at 6 a.m.
They're happening about 6 or 6:30 generally on Sunday mornings between the younger brother, me. I'm his cheerleader. I tried, my brother who's the funeral director there in Lancaster County, and I get a chance to talk with him, and it's great.
And we take a look at the readings.
Yes.
Good. Well, why don't we dive in? And you're coming on a great Sunday because we've spent the last 5 weeks on the Bread of Life discourse in John, and now we're moving, we've also been following our first track, which has been David and then Solomon. Now we're moving into Song of Solomon, and we'll end up we're coming off Ephesians as well. We'll end up in James and in Mark. So you're kind of a fresh start here.
Thank you.
For September 1,
yes,
which is
thank
great.
You.
So Song of Solomon 2 verses 8 through 13. Again, a pretty well-known passage. The voice of my beloved, look, he comes. And this is very kind of picturesque. It's a vivid imagery of God's love for us. What thoughts do you have, Dad?
Well, I'm very interested in history. Whether my history is correct, who knows? But I am very interested. And I just think about this being at the beginning of Solomon's kingship. He's just been given probably double wisdom, but I think it's like maybe year one of 40, and he is so excited. I see him, Solomon, as being very excited. He's gotten a double dosage of wisdom, and it's a great thing that,
right.
he's probably, well, I don't know. So it's very exciting to me for me to read what his thoughts are.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and he asked for this wisdom 2 Sundays ago, right? When he said, he was going to be the ruler, and he asked God for wisdom in order to be a good ruler. And now we get this wonderful song, and it is about the relationship between kind of the church and God, Christ, and, Christ and the church.
Yeah,
which is great. Any other thoughts on that?
And so this, just as it relates to this, just he and his father David just appreciating who God is, and certainly both of them. It's so exciting that they want to appreciate God and want us to appreciate God as well. And
right.
Yeah,
and how that in this it talks all about how that appreciation and that energy is seen both in the relationship with each other, but also in nature, right? For now, winter is past, the rain is gone, the flowers appear, the time of singing has come. The fig tree puts forth its figs, and so all of this goes back to how God's providential care for us is seen everywhere we go, right? I mean, as we sit next to this beautiful lake, in 70-degree morning weather, as everyone back home is sweltering at, it's probably already 92. We appreciate the gift, we appreciate that God's abundance is everywhere around us.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, it's very exciting, and it's certainly that it's just great to hear the son Solomon echoing what his father echoed in the Psalms, and which we won't talk too much about, but it's great.
And the psalm is Psalm 45. So take a look at that, before Sunday, so that when you hear it in church, you'll certainly, hopefully have a moment of connection there. But my heart is stirring with the noble song. Therefore God, your God, has anointed you with the oils of gladness above your fellows. It's a great, it's a great psalm. Maybe not as familiar to most people, but certainly Psalm 45 is well worth the read. But we don't have time to dwell on that for too long. We need to move to James, and you're one of your favorite theologians, Dad, is Martin Luther.
He is,
and Martin Luther didn't love James.
No, he didn't love James. I'm sorry to announce this to you all. Please forgive me. I'm sorry, but there's so many things that go through my head. Not enough time to share those with you, but I am a Martin Luther disciple. I spent a lot of time with him, and I really think he's really great guy and neat. But he did not love his James, and he was not a big James fan.
Too much works righteousness for him. Probably.
It was too much
works righteousness.
Too much works righteousness, and it's justification by faith alone. That was what he did in Romans and Galatians. At any rate, so as it relates to reading this epistle, I have so many questions, but I love it. I can't get mad at these people that write this Sanford. Right. I can't do that.
Right.
But I've got to take what it says, and I think he's basically saying, hey, try to do some things. Once you actually have heard the news, the good news, try to do something, try to get out there and do whatever you're going to do.
Right. Well, and I think that's the for us, it's great that we've got the whole Bible, right? So it's not just the Bible of James. I mean, it's the whole Bible, and in this case, this famous passage: "Be doers of the word and not merely hearers who deceive them. For if any are hearers of the word and not doers, they are like those who look at themselves in a mirror. For they look at themselves and on going away immediately forget what they were like. But those who look into the perfect law, the law of liberty, and persevere, being not hearers who forget, but doers who act, they will be blessed in their doing." So it's this idea of how our faith is incarnated and is made manifest in our actions, right? In our life, in the day-to-day activities of what's going on. It's not simply about having just the right theological camp or understanding. It's not just, it's not just about articulating something verbally, but really articulating it with one's whole life, including words, right?
Right.
And I think this is a good, I think you've got people who do love this passage, I'm a little tainted just by Luther's ear.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, son.
My ear.
Wow.
I remember working as a seminarian at a Lutheran church when I was Lutheran in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I remember at this church, this Lutheran church's motto was "Be doers of the word." I mean, they went totally opposite Luther and snatched this as their motto. They wanted to be out there and doing in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and again, no objection to the doing. I just think the faith and the believing. I'm just so for that faith and believing. And please get to stage 1, which I consider the faith and believing, and
right.
then the doing. It'll well out from you. You will have that happen, and
right.
But even like I listened to one or two of your other podcasts
right.
with your other guests.
Yes.
And one of the things that you guys talked about was, hey, this is the beginning of Solomon. This is
right.
the beginning of, and then things
right.
happened in the next 30 years.
Right.
Things happened.
Right.
I think that's great, but I think that what this is saying is stay the course your entire life. Please
right.
try to stay the course your entire. Don't just start out that way. Stay it your entire life.
Right.
Yeah. From your previous podcast.
Yes. Well, right, and that we see. I think we were talking about Solomon in that one, where we see this great enthusiasm for the new ruler of Israel. Right. We see this enthusiasm and this vim and vigor, and then things kind of go off the rails as life happens. And I think we can map our own stories onto that, and it becomes an adaptive challenge, right? Faith
Correct.
becomes not
Correct.
just something that we can imagine in a an unattached way to life, but rather something that we live and do, as
Correct.
James is kind of encouraging us here, throughout the course of whatever's happening, even on vacation, right? Where we're just enjoying.
We've been challenged a little bit, but we're doing okay.
But we've got 2 children under the age of 5, so we've been up probably since Uncle Fred's been up this morning with the children who are wonderful, and also
at 6:15,
they're 1 and 3.
6:15.
They're 1 and 3, which is great. So that's be doers of the word. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to live out our faith day to day.
Right.
And everyone is. I think that's the real gift.
Right.
So,
right.
good. Anything else you want to say?
Well,
about
the only thing
James?
else I have to say is I do think a lot about who this James actually is, and no one knows, I guess, who James is. But I don't think this is James the elder. I don't think this is John's brother,
Right.
who the son of Zebedee. I think this may be James. I believe this is James the younger, who was a brother of Jesus in some way, and I do think, and who also was. So I think this is his work. He and Jude. At any rate, I like what I like to do always is try to figure out who the people are that we're actually are talking to us. So
Got it.
It's good.
I haven't done my research on that question.
No, I'm
so
sorry.
I can't comment. I can't comment. We'll put it in the comments if you have an opinion about which James it is.
Which
That's
James
great.
it is.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Let's turn to the gospel then. Gospel of Mark. We're coming in here, Mark 7, 1 through 8. The lectionary kind of splits us up a little bit. 1 through 8, 14 to 15, and 21 through 23. And we get here Jesus talking with the Pharisees, and because the Pharisees have noticed that the disciples are not eating in the proper way. They're eating with with defiled hands, and so they're not following some of the laws around how to eat properly. And Jesus, the Pharisees basically say, why isn't your gang doing it the way they're supposed to do? And and Jesus quotes Isaiah in responding to them. They honor you, they honor with their lips, but their hearts are far away. And he says, listen to me, all of you. there's nothing outside a person that by going in can defile, but the things that come out are what defile. For it is from within the human heart that evil intentions come, and then he lists a whole bunch of evil. All of these evil come from within, and they defile a person. So we've got a conflict with the Pharisees, which is pretty customary, and Jesus tries to put a different spin on the understanding of how the law works.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I love this. By the way, this makes me so happy when I read this, because what Jesus is saying is all the stuff outside. It's the stuff inside that matters,
Right.
and that's what, well, either makes you righteous or defiles you,
Right.
type of thing.
Right.
And this really excites me, because this doesn't make it too complicated. It's less complicated. Really, Jesus has made it less complicated for us, maybe, than he did the original, Moses and the original gang,
Right.
having to pay attention to all these various things. And
Right.
we don't have
Right.
to. All
Right.
we have to do is have faith and believe. And,
Right.
And then the heart will be changed, and you'll be ending up having good things coming out of your heart. So it's so much simpler.
Right.
It makes me happy that
Right.
that he's saying this, because otherwise, keeping track of this,
Right.
my head would be spinning,
Right.
keeping track of this stuff. And
Right.
it's a
I think for me, the outside is certainly maybe not simpler, but easier to identify, because if we can just regulate how we eat, right, in the case of the Jewish laws and the Pharisees' admonition here, if you just regulate how you eat, you're going to be good. Well, that's easy enough to see. It's easy enough to measure whether or not you're eating, with the correct utensils, right, so to speak, with clean, undefiled hands. I think what Jesus is saying, yes, simple in the sense that it is about faith, and it is about the inner life and the work of the soul. I think it's harder, though, for a lot of people to see that. I think it's hard to maybe see or ascertain the health of their soul, because
Right.
a lot of times it takes a while for the health of the soul to be made manifest in the daily,
I agree with that.
life.
Yeah.
So the good news is that Jesus dwells with us. The Holy Spirit dwells with us at the very depth of our soul, and so where where God is, there's the promise, right? There's the comfort. There's the hope for our healing at that very deep level. And so, what I think is interesting about this is that Jesus is taking a system of law that they are very familiar with, that the Pharisees and the gang are very familiar with, and he's kind of turning it on its head. He's not getting rid of it altogether. He's not just saying, "Oh, don't even worry about that." He's saying, actually, what you need to worry about is how your insides are, how your soul is, not just how your outsides appear to be to other people, right?
Right.
So there's this depth of the work that I think is maybe I think it's simple, but I think it's challenging at the same time. Yeah.
Well, it is, and again, we've been spending these early mornings with a 3 and a 1.5 year old, and he mentions envying or envying. Well,
Right.
we do notice sometimes
Yeah.
that the 3 and the 1 year old
Little
are
competition.
They're envying whatever
Right.
the other one's got, and we're looking at this going.
Right.
We see this a little
Right,
bit
right,
in these
right.
early
Early years, right?
We see it in the early
You
years,
do.
and
You
then
do.
of course we all. I'm kidding, we
Right.
don't all stop. We don't all stop that type of stuff.
Right, right.
But you want to find the solution, which is in Christ and
Yes.
in God.
Right.
You want to find the solution to this, and but it is good. The other thing. Well, one other comment I'll make. So I was amazed. I have a very old Bible, very very old, and what I noticed is that believe it or not, John 6, chapter 6, which has just been done. all those discourses that Sanford. Thank you. I love.
You missed them.
I love your sermons on
Hours and hours.
Hours and hours. But I learned. I believe it or not, I like any good parent, you're always looking on your children's whatever's going on. And I'm sorry, I'm sorry to announce that, but that's kind of the way it works. But your discourses on that were really enlightening to me about the bread of life and the blood of life and all that. But believe it or not, so right after that, those discourses, we're basically now doing this, and he's still in Capernaum, and he's still doing this right on the heels of, and this is the end of the Capernaum stories there by the Sea of Galilee or whatever. But this is so great that we're getting, really, even though we did John 6 is finished, it's sort of another end of a little bit of John 6, in here that we're getting. So
probably why the lectionary writers put it up,
they chose it this way.
Right.
That's right. And
good.
It's you all are wonderful. Please forgive me for whatever. But you all, I'm so grateful for you all, and
it's good to be able to meet the source material. So there you go. That's in terms of any personality quirks or whatever. There you have it. At least half of the source material. Well, good. Well, any other reflections or thoughts that you'd like to share?
Yeah. Well, my reflections on this whole section, beginning with Solomon, is the same themes. Try to stay in the word, and try to stay in this as long through your entire life. None of us are going to regret staying in this our entire lives, and from the beginning, to the middle, to the end, and just staying, and they all are expressing love. I mean, I've never, they're all expressing love.
Right.
Love. And we can do the same thing too. We can have a loving attitude toward those that are around us.
Yes.
And it's at any rate, that's my reflection.
Well, and I think as the Psalm and as our first reading points out, if you're feeling down or if you're feeling like your tank is empty,
right,
God's fingerprints, God's love and energy in terms of giving you a little boost is all around you, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yep,
easy for me to say in this beautiful
it is.
vacation setting, but even back home where we live, Tequesta, Florida, is just stunning. You just go outside, open your window and then remember that's God's handiwork. That's and then talking to other people and getting that sense, getting that recharge, coming to church. All of those things are ways in which God recharges us. So that we can continue to persevere, as Paul would say, to continue to run the race, finish the course.
Right. Well, it's absolutely great. And one last comment. I just love the Episcopal Church. I love these readings. I love these readings that we do because, in one week you're with King David, another week you're with Solomon. Right. You're going to be with Moses maybe, or you're going to be with all these people going back in time and. It's thank you.
You get a lot of Bible in the Episcopal Church.
A lot of Bible. Yeah, as you said, I borrow his words. But as you say, if you're kind of in nursery school or kindergarten in your faith understandings, or if you're a PhD in your faith understandings, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You will get fed because of all the scripture that we get, and
we have a place for you.
And I'd love to come. I almost made it to church to join my son, but he never probably told you the morning that I was supposed to go to church.
This was during a visit a couple months ago.
Ago, I did a header through the window with my head. And unfortunately, I was a little woozy, from doing the header through the window. But so I did not have a chance to attend.
You were fine.
I ended up being fine.
You were fine, but getting out of bed first thing,
I was
dizziness.
I was a little whatever. But at any rate, hopefully I will get down there and
good.
And
good. Well, we missed you that day, and we will look forward to having you. But I think this was wonderful. Thank you for taking time out of the vacation to join me. I'm glad to join you, of course, and not miss an episode. And if you'd like to not miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. If you like this episode, give us a like. And if you feel like sharing it, please send it along to a friend or family member. It's always good to share. We thank you for joining us on this episode. And now, join us on Sunday, online or in person for worship. And now we hope that when you get there on Sunday, you feel a little more prepared to hear these words. See you later.